This type of trip was a difference to us because we usually go places to see sightseeing or to go to hockey tournaments to play hockey, and then actually have extra time to take pictures and stuff like that. But this time was an actual trip dedicated to taking pictures.
You know, first time ever in general for me just to be taking a trip solely dedicated for photography. I mean, we'd been on vacations, going to Mike's hockey tournaments, taking pictures of the sports there. You know, just going out to see family members if it's, you know, across state lines or whatever. Always taking pictures then, being out and about in New York City, but never took a trip that was solely dedicated for photography.
There's a whole different type of culture that comes from when you go to DC and to take pictures there. There's many different things you could take pictures of. You could take pictures of monuments that have been there. You could take pictures of the architecture that's been there for ages. Also people there. And mostly what I liked was taking pictures of people's emotions when they went to monuments.
When you're going somewhere with the sole intent of taking pictures, your trip is a little bit different. You're thinking more about your shots than, say, where you want to eat or where you want to stay hotel-wise or what other day trips you want to take. You're thinking about what's in this city, what kind of shots can I get. We're budget photographers, amateurs. We don't see that much revenue during the year, if any, for this type of thing. So the way we travel is different. It does change a lot. You know, the way we think about how we're going to be, where we're going to be, you know, and how much that's really going to cost. And that's important for amateurs, budget photographers. We are a small startup.
Prior to this trip, me and Joe put a lot of thought into this. We actually created a list of all the places we wanted to visit.
You know, you want to do it all. You want to shoot the whole town. You want to be able to see everything, both day and night, at golden hour, every time. But it's not reasonable. It's not feasible, especially for the budget that we had.
We did research on this stuff. We knew what we wanted to take pictures of. We wrote it down, and we studied it before we went down there, so we knew what we were doing before we got there, so we would be on schedule and we'd get everything we wanted.
And we also thought about not so much of the places, but okay, I know I really want this really great shot of the Lincoln Memorial with all the people in the foreground, you know, everybody paying their respects to Abraham Lincoln and him being lit up from the front, you know, casting a shadow on the background. All these things you think about, and it's important because you don't ever want to come home and be looking through your pictures and say, man, if I could have had that one shot that I missed. So there's a lot of thinking and planning going into it. We did stay Friday night into Saturday, so we had to get a hotel room and we weren't going to sleep out of my car. So went on, you know, one of the websites and tried to find the cheapest price. I actually shopped around a few websites, called up one of my card holders to see if they could do better. And I mean, you got to shop around, you got to see what's out there, you got to see what you can afford, and we looked quite a bit. I wanted to make sure that we were close, everything was in walking distance, that we weren't going to be wasting money on cabs, wasting time walking really far to our first shot, and we actually wind up staying like 2 blocks away from the Capitol building, which was really nice. In the morning we started at the Capitol building, and we made our way across the National Mall there.
We set up a folding table in my room that held all the equipment that we wanted to bring to Washington, D.C., which was crazy because all the amount of stuff we had. We had film cameras, we had film, we had digital cameras, lenses, all different types of lenses. We had bags, we had anything you can imagine because we wanted to be prepared for the trip. That it was our first road trip and we wanted to have everything that we needed and everything we wanted to get that shot.
And we looked at everything. I remember taking all my lenses out, cleaning fronts and back elements, making sure everything was focusing right, everything was working right. The worst thing that I thought in my mind that could have happened is we could have got all the way down there and then the cameras weren't working. The batteries didn't work, the batteries weren't charged. So spent that whole time just charging batteries and, you know, cleaning gear, shooting it, making sure everything worked, testing it once, testing it twice.
I made a list of stuff that I wanted to take. I wrote it down and I checked it at least 3 times because I had to narrow it down because I didn't want to be carrying a lot of stuff with me, because I knew it was going to be a long trek between the distances we were going each day, which was a long day. And I just wanted to be as light as possible and to have the gear I wanted for the right reasons.
We were on a really tight schedule. I took off Friday from my full-time job, and we had part of the day on Saturday, but the rest of the day we needed to dedicate to driving back home. I know that Sunday we definitely needed to be back. Both Mike and I had stuff that we had to do. So we basically had all day Friday, half a day Saturday to get all the shots that we wanted. We woke up super early on Friday morning. I want to say we probably left our house around 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It was about a 5-hour ride for us.
To get the most out of the trip, we left super early on Friday morning to get there at a right time, the reasonable time to take pictures, so we wouldn't hit rush hour and all that stuff.
And we parked the car, checked out where our hotel was and everything. We weren't able to check in at the time, so we left all of our clothes and everything in the car, and we went out shooting. We started out right away. We had the Pelican cases in the car to carry all the gear down there, but we had backpacks. We put all the gear that we were going to be walking around with on us. And so we loaded up our backpacks, put all our batteries in, loaded our film, and or our camera cards, and we got going. We just started. We had our schedule, we had our list of shots, and we just started going, which was great. And that's where all that planning came in.
Shooting an environment at different hours can give you such different emotion in the shot that you're feeling. For instance, when we shot the World War II memorial, during the day it was really great, it was happening and everybody was there, but at night it was a really nice experience being there because the fountains are going, you're seeing the sun setting in the background, you're also seeing the light that is being cast from the shadows from the tall pillars that are in the memorial. It's really a really nice ambiance there. It's just really nice to see a different point of view from light out and to see dark out too. It's really nice.
If it wasn't for that shot list and that pre-planning that we did, I don't think that we would have got all of the shots that we really wanted. And it shows how important it is to plan. We really needed to plan, and we knew that. And with the short amount of time that we had to be down there, we had to be shooting right from the get-go. Mike and I primarily shoot Canon Rebel T2Is, so it's not quite Canon's entry-level camera, but it's a step above. And I knew going down there, we were already spending so much money, not a lot of money, but money to stay down there, to drive down there, and I wanted to make sure we were going to get the shots that we wanted. So I went and I rented a full-frame camera. Knowing that we were going to be walking around the city and taking pictures of architecture and different monuments and memorials, I know we really wanted a wide-angle lens. And so I chose to rent the EF 16-35 f2.8L lens, which is just a great piece of glass. Not only is it a really good constant zoom range, but it's 16 millimeters. I mean, that's really wide. Full-frame cameras are, naturally the step up. They're more like the film equivalents. They gather more light, and there's so many things that they could do that a crop camera just can't, just because of physics. And so it was really a great pleasure to rent and to use and be able to shoot a 5D Mark II. The whole time I was walking around, I was carrying both cameras, the 5D Mark II and the T2i, and I found that, a few hours in, I just completely stopped using the T2i and was shooting just the 5D Mark II. With the 5D Mark II, I rented an extra battery, of course, and also the 24-105L, because I didn't know what we were going to be getting into and what we're going to be shooting, so I felt that was a really good range. And I had the 24-105 on my T2i and the 16-35 on the 5D Mark II. Well, because I was rarely using the T2i, I decided to give the 24-105 to Mike, which was just great. I mean, you could see the color, the contrast, just the really clear, clean optics that are coming out of the 24-105 in these pictures. And I have some pictures too with it, but it's really just a great lens.
Some people may say that the 24-105 f4L lens is not really a good lens, but it didn't really matter to me because we were in bright sunny light And also, I think that the optics are very sharp in it from what I can see. I've done 100% crops, and I've even gone even closer, and the optics work perfectly fine. They're beautiful images that I've gotten from the trip and from previous trips. But that lens is a really nice lens. Even if it is f4, that doesn't really matter to me. Bokeh isn't my biggest thing. It is really nice to have nice bokeh, creamy bokeh, but it's not everything to me. One lesson that I learned from going on this trip was that you cannot let your gear limit you. At one point I was shooting with a kit lens that was 18 to 55 millimeters, which is a variable aperture lens, and I know it's probably not a good lens at all. And Joy would say the same thing, I know he would. But it did its purpose, and it got the job done. I've gotten a lot of shots with that lens that I liked a lot, and you just gotta always remember that it's not the camera gear that you have, it's the photographer and the eye that he has and the pictures that he takes.
Right off the bat, I would say that I carried way too much gear. You don't need that much stuff. I think a lens that's really good zoom range, like the 24 to 105, and then something like the 16 to 35. Two lenses get enough range. Maybe you take the 24, 70, and then the 7200. You have all the range covered there. But I felt that I was carrying way too much gear. I was weighed down a lot, heavy backpack. You know, carrying a tripod. We later found out that it was a no tripod town, that you weren't allowed to set up a tripod. So less gear is more, and we were over prepared in the gear category, but I'm happy still that we carried too much, and I think next time I carry a lot less.
Another lesson that I learned from going on this trip was to have everything set in place before you go. Know what you want to do, when you want to do it, why you want to do it, and the reason why you go there. You want to be able to have everything you want and when you want, because you want to be able to get that shot that you've been looking for and the shot that you really, really want down deep in your heart. Because you want to get the shot that will tell a story and that you will be able to look upon 10 years later or 5 months later, whatever the case may be, but you want to be able to go back to that shot, remember why exactly you took it.
Yes, planning is important, but a lot of photography is organic. It's something that you can't script. It's, you know, it's emotions and time periods that you just can't plan. That you have to be there, and they happen.
If I had to choose somewhere to go and there was no restriction on pricing, I would probably go to either Spain or I would go to Cuba. Reason being is because of the culture there. My family is Cuban and we are Spanish too, and we're Italian. But I just want to see the heritage of my family, and I want to see the beautiful landscapes of Cuba and Spain and stuff like that. I mean, also the culture of the people there is really, really good. I would love to see, you know, people of the streets in Madrid and in Havana. I mean, just the whole culture is different than the United States and all that stuff.
Probably Turkey. You know, it's a completely different culture. It's something I've never experienced before, and I think the photographs would be amazing. You know, walking those markets and being with a completely different culture, a culture I've never experienced, and just everything about it would just, I think, be really amazing. Something in the Middle East. But for me this year, probably a more reasonable trip would be in the United States. And I think if I was able to, probably the West Coast, somewhere on the West Coast, whether it be Seattle. I always found Seattle to be really neat. Or, you know, I really have always wanted to go to the national forest, whether it be Yosemite or Yellowstone. You know, areas that are the wilderness. You can think, who would have thought parts of the United States are still considered wilderness out in Yosemite or whatever. I think that'd be really neat. I really like action photography. I really like wildlife and nature and stuff like that. So to be able to shoot, say, a bald eagle or another bird or another animal really from a distance and be able to capture that, I think would be really neat.
Another place I would like to go that's more of a reasonable budget to go to would actually be Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, because I've never really seen the culture there. I heard it is the city of brotherly love, but I don't know about that. I mean, You never know what to expect when you go to places like that. But I would really like to go there and see what the whole story is about. And I would love to do street photography there. I would love to do some cityscapes and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not really usually up for anything that's stuff like that.
Thank you so much for watching this video. This has been our experiences from our first photographic trip down to Washington, D.C. last summer.
After this video is up, we'll be posting all the pictures and all the images that we've taken when we went on the DC trip, and we hope you guys enjoy them.
If this video has helped you out in any way, please click the like button down below. It does really help and support us.
Also, make sure to follow all the social links like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, Google+, we're on that too.
Subscribe to the channel. We're doing a lot of different photographic related content. And also check out our website, www.metrophotog.com. On the website you could learn a lot more about Mike and I, and you could also see our pictures, the most important thing about what we do. So go over there. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments down below, or check us out on our website on the contact page, and you can send us a question through there. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.